Hey, I'd like to share with you one of the many, many great jazz educational resources that are out there. And here it is. Boom. Patterns for Jazz. It's great. It's one of the first jazz books of its kind that ever came out. I'm not even sure when this thing came out, but it seems to have been around forever. 1970. Anyway, it's a great book written by Jerry Coker, Jimmy Casale, Gary Campbell, Jerry Greene. It comes in treble clef and bass clef. And it does quite a few things, but the muscle that it works is the muscle that you need to survive playing jazz. And I'll explain that in a minute. It does a couple things. It'll drill you through the basic scales. It'll show you the basic modes. Keeping in mind this was one of the first books ever to do this. It's still great. It gives you a lot of great patterns that you can put on a major scale. Play your scale in thirds, play your scale. It gives you a couple different shapes that you can apply to a scale and immediately gives you shapes that you can work with. Excellent book. But this, let me show you here. I'll just find something. Okay, for example, this would be, boom, here is a lick, and then you play it and you get it in your ear. Okay? Then it just gives you the chord. You have to transpose it. Alright, so it'll give you a pattern, maybe one or two keys. You get it in your head, and then all it gives you are the chords. It's not written out in all keys. All the keys are there in chord symbol form. You have to adapt that pattern to a different key. Okay? It sounds like it's no big deal. This is huge. This is unbelievably important in playing jazz, because what happens is this book, when I said develop that muscle, this is what happens when jazz players play. Let's just back up, get a little analytical for a minute. If I'm playing something, if I'm playing Happy Birthday, bo bo dee ba 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 da, you can hear that next note. Beep, you can hear it in your head. That's a target. And what you do is you're trying to shoot at it like a marksman or a bow and arrow or whatever you're trying to hit it with. You could hear this next note in your head, and your aim gets better the more you practice it. So what will happen is if the next note is here, you may overshoot it, and then maybe you'll undershoot it, maybe you'll hit it. And then the next note is here, you hear it in your head, and your aim goes, and the more you do that, the better your aim gets, to the point where you can practically hit it every time. And what happens with a lot of these players that can play in all keys, it's not that they even know a song in all keys, it's that they can hear any interval. If you can hear intervals in your head and you can hit it with your instrument, then you can almost play anything if you can hear it. And that's pretty big. It takes work. It doesn't spoon feed you. It makes you work that muscle. And I would say a good 70% of the book is basically that, giving you a pattern. It gives it to you in one or two keys, and then you're off to the races on your own. Here's another quickie just to give you an example. Now you finish it up. Okay, you put it in all these keys. Then it changes and you follow. So it's really, really, really great. I can't stress that enough. And there's some other things in the back. He gets into adding neighboring tones. The book does much more than that, though in my experience of teaching, that being able to aim for the pitch that you hear is huge. It's huge, and it's very freeing. And it can get you out of... There's some guys that play, or people that play, I don't want to seem, but there's some people that play that they can't play a tune unless they know every chord that's in it. They won't even try and solo because they need to have the structure in their head so they know what to do. And then there are other players that don't even pay attention to the structure. They don't even know what the structure is. If you say G minor, they don't know what that is. So they'll play something, you can hear a chord on the piano, and their ear can already hear what their targets are inside their head. And their ear gets so good They can just pick things off. Those are the kind of players that don't have to worry about playing in every key. I mean, if you want to see what this is like, if you want to understand the muscle that this book is great at developing, play Happy Birthday starting on every step of the chromatic scale, and do it really slow, out of time, and play the first note, and then try and play the next one without messing up. You'll find, this is what you're going to find, because I know, oh, I know, you'll find that some keys, say you may be in the key of C, you may play the tune perfect. You get to D flat, you may not get to the second note. You may get halfway through in the key of G. You may not be able to get 2 bars in the key of A flat. You'll find out that different keys give you different challenges, but you can even all that out by being able to play things in all keys. And that's what's so great about this. The information that they give and the shapes that they give you to drill your scales on are all shapes that apply directly to improvisation. So if you know your scales the way this book gives it to you, if you know your scales based on the exercises in this book, I get all excited. You are learning your scales in a way that you can apply to improvising really quickly. Great, great, great book. This thing is gotten better through the years, to be honest with you. It's like listening to Cannonball Adderley or you know, as time goes on, they get better. Well, this book has gotten better. This is in treble. Now, the book is also out in bass clef, too. So you play bass, trombone, you want to apply this stuff, try it out. And this is an old copy, man. See this here? That there? Doesn't come that way anymore. So this, I don't know. I've had this thing for about 5 or 6 of these books laying around my house and office. Patterns for Jazz. You're going to work, but it'll pay off, and it works the exact muscle you need. You'll play these patterns in all keys, and then when you're solo, you may not even play those patterns, but you'll be hearing other things. This book will help you realize other possibilities with intervals. I can't stress how important that is. People who are stuck playing tunes where they only know the theory, man, they get hung up. If you have to play behind a vocalist, she has a sore throat, you have to change the key, it's all up in here. There isn't anything written out that's going to help you. This was it. Patterns for Jazz. And there's other books that kind of have this thing, but this was the first, and they really knew what they were doing when they put it together. They went right after the root of what you need. They took care of the survival mode of the jazz player by writing it out the way they did. Patterns for Jazz. I don't even know who publishes this thing anymore. I know you can get it through Jamie, but Patterns for Jazz. Easy to find. You won't regret it. This